What's up, Honor? So HalloweenCostumes.com has just announced their first wave of Halloween animatronics for 2025. And in this first release, they've announced some really awesome animatronics. And for today's video, we're going to be checking out all these animatronics that they've announced today, which I'm really excited to do because overall, they've released some really cool animatronics here. So anyways, let's of course get right into checking out all these awesome animatronics. And as always, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're all having an awesome day. So of course, if you haven't heard yet, HalloweenCostumes.com has announced their first wave of Halloween animatronics for 2025, which this year they're going all out, releasing 75 new animatronics, which is crazy. And in this first wave here, they've given us some really cool ones. And honestly, I'm not sure if you'll agree with me or not, but Halloween Costumes this year might just be my favorite Halloween animatronic retailer. Home Depot still might beat them if they release some really good stuff, but I do feel like it'll definitely be better than Spirit Halloween because with how just all-rate I think Spirit's been the last few years, I think this year they're probably going to continue on with that and just have an all-rate lineup. But yeah, Halloween Costumes, overall, they've got some cool stuff, and I'm really excited to check it out in today's video. And to check out all their new animatronics right here, we're going to be breaking it down into 4 separate sections, because there's kind of 4 categories of animatronics, I guess. Of course, the first category is just their sort of original animatronics, which I think are exclusive to their store. Then, of course, there's going to be another section where we're going to check out the 3 new Brick Thunder animatronics. Then, for another part of the video, we're going to be checking out the 3 new licensed animatronics. And then ended off with the 3 animatronics that are returning from other retailers. And yeah, I think they've announced about 15 animatronics in their video, so there's going to be a lot to go over. So anyways, let's get right into checking out the first animatronics right here. So let's get right into those by checking out the brand new zombie guy, which this one might be one of my favorites from their lineup so far. Alright, so getting into the very first animatronic right here, we have Hops the Dismembered Zombie, which, honestly, I'm a massive fan of zombie animatronics, and with this guy here, they've really done a great job on the design. I like how this guy is sort of unique, too. Of course, his one leg there is chopped off, which looks creepy, and his arm there, too, is chopped off, and has this cool new animation they're trying out, where it sort of spins around. It looks like it's flinging guts everywhere, which is really creepy, and I kind of like the creativity of it. I love the design they went with for this guy too. It just kind of looks like your classic zombie where it's just this average guy that's sort of living dead. So honestly, this guy right here, he looks awesome, and I've got to say he might be my favorite so far from the Halloween Costumes lineup. Moving on now, the next animatronic we have right here is Tony Tombstone the Graveyard Caretaker, which this guy is absolutely massive. He stands 7 foot tall and is supposed to be this sort of reaper guy that's crawled out of the ground. He of course has tombstones there along his back, which is an awesome detail and something we've never really seen before. And they just love all this sort of like moss and everything all over him to make him look like he did just climb out of the ground. Overall, the animation on this guy is nothing too crazy. Of course, his arms move and his mouth moves, but overall, that's really it. But still, I do love the design of this guy. He just looks awesome, and again, this guy is probably another one of my favorites from the lineup for this year. Moving on, we've got another really awesome animatronic right here. This guy is known as Ripsond. He looks insane. I love the concept of this guy. It's supposed to be this construction type dude where in his hands right there, he has this massive saw that he's just sort of holding up there looking like he's gonna throw it at you or try and cut you with it, which is awesome. And I like his animation. He goes from side to side, and of course the blade up there spins. And then, yeah, just the overall look of this guy, it just looks creepy, sort of the costume he has on and everything. Overall, this guy looks awesome, and again, another one of my favorites from them this year. They've done a great job with their originals. Moving on, the next animatronic we have here is another awesome one. We've, of course, got Galthax, the Underworld Demon, which this guy looks insane. He, of course, is a reskin of the Underworld Clown from Morris Costumes from a number of years ago, and I love that they decided to retheme that guy into a demon because it makes a lot of sense with this guy who is supposed to be climbing out of the underworld. And I love the new design they went with. The head sculpt on this guy looks insane. I love how that looks. He's of course got the chest right there, which looks like it's glowing with fire. And then he's got these big creepy arms, which sort of moves side to side with his body, which is an awesome animation. Now, one thing I will say is that I wish with this new version of the animatronic, they would have fixed the arms to make it look less like pool noodles and more like actual arms, but still, overall, this guy looks awesome, and I'm happy to see him this year at Halloween Costumes. The next animatronic we got here is probably my least favorite from them for this year so far, which is of course the 12-foot zombie, which just look at this guy is pretty much your typical Gemmy 12-footer, which just has side-to-side motion, has the lights in it, and nothing too crazy. Now, the design, I do think it looks decent for what it is, but it looks way too similar to the 12-foot mummy animatronic. It looks like they pretty much took the exact same design from the 12-foot mummy and just changed the color of the clothing a bit to make it look more gray. I really wish they would have done something more unique with this guy and make him look more like a zombie, but overall, it's an alright animatronic and alright to see us here from Halloween Costumes. And moving on, next up here, we've got a jump scare animatronic. This one right here is, of course, Mary the Unhappily Ever After, which this one looks pretty cool. I'm typically not too much of a fan of bride animatronics, but overall, this one does look like a decent one. Of course, she has LEDs that look to be in her hands or something that illuminate her face, which is awesome. And then she has this cool jump scare where she sort of lunges forward at you, which is really creepy. So overall, it's an awesome animatronic. I do really like that lighting detail I mentioned earlier. I wish more animatronics would really take lighting into account when making it, because some good lighting to illuminate an animatronic is definitely something I always appreciate. So overall, this one looks awesome, and yeah, that lighting feature is awesome. And next up here, we've got one more animatronic before we move on to the next category, which this guy right here is, of course, the 6.9-foot Frederick the Floating Phantom animatronic, which this guy looks awesome. First of all, I like his animation. He just has side to side, but then he also has the arm there that moves back and forth, which I think adds a lot of realisticness to him. And then also the design of him, his face there looks awesome. I like the mold they made for it. And then he has the lantern there in the one hand and just this gray clothing on him, but overall it looks awesome. Now, I feel like we've seen quite a few animatronics like this in the past, where it's supposed to be this Phantom Reaper type of character who has a lantern and everything. So it's not the most unique design ever, but overall, I still love how this guy looks, and he's an awesome animatronic. Moving on now to the next category, which is, of course, Brick Thunder animatronics, which, if you don't know who Brick Thunder is, he's another Halloween YouTuber out there. And this series designed 3 animatronics so far with Halloween costumes, which looks awesome. And one of the first ones right here he's designed is the Salivation, which this guy looks like a really unique design, which is cool. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's basically this massive ghoul type character, which has this really long tongue, which is unique. His animation is also kind of unique too. He just has side to side, but then the tongue there has some sort of effect where it kind of looks like it's moving around when he speaks, which looks creepy, and I just love that. So overall, he looks awesome, and yeah, great job on the design for this guy. It's awesome. And next up here, we've got one that isn't really an animatronic. It's more when they control yourself, but this one right here is, of course, the Dire Dragon's Head, which this thing right here is really unique, and I love the idea of it. So it's basically this dragon head right here. And basically what you do with it is that you have an actor that's behind a curtain with, of course, the sort of steering wheel for this, and then they can move it around in a bunch of different ways to sort of give the head movement. It, of course, also has light up eyes, and you can hook up a fog machine to this to make it look like it's breathing fire. And overall, I do like the design of the dragon head there too. They went this nice red design, and overall, it just looks so sick. I love what they've done with this. So overall, this thing looks awesome. It's probably not something I would buy because you kind of need a lot of space to have an actor and everything behind this to control it. But overall, I really love the look of it, and yeah, it's such an awesome idea. And the last Brick Thunder one here is, of course, a 12-foot animatronic known as the 3 Stacked Acrobatic Clowns, which this one looks awesome. It's a little bit similar in the idea to the Trickster Trio we got last year from Home Depot, where it's these 3 clowns that are on top of each other. But the thing I like more about this over the Trickster Trio is instead of the Trickster Trio, where just 3 clowns are stacked on top of each other, instead these guys here are sort of doing a balancing act where all 3 clowns are sort of supporting each other, and then the guy on top is doing this cool pose here. Now, one thing I would say is I wish it had more animation, because really all it has is that the bottom clown is mouth moves. I wish they would have at least given mouth movement to all 3 of the clowns, and they could have even given the clown on top some leg movement where his legs are sort of flopping around. But still, overall, I like the design of this. It's really unique and unlike anything we've ever seen before. I kind of like just sort of that uniqueness to it. So overall, this thing right here, it looks really awesome, and again, another awesome animatronic from them for this year. And of course, the next animatronic category we have here is licensed animatronics. And let's kick it off checking out Chucky right here, which this guy looks awesome. I was really curious what exactly the design would be for him, if he'd be one that would be better than Home Depot's or one that would sort of challenge Home Depot's for being better. Now, I will say I do still think Home Depot's made a better Chucky, but still Halloween Costumes version right here still looks really awesome. I kind of like everything that's going on with this guy. I like how he's sort of oversized a bit. He's not a tinier Chucky. He's actually 4.5 foot, so a little bit bigger than what he would be in the movies. Like his animation, he's got the arm there, moves up and down with the scissors, and he's got the mouth movement. The design of him looks very accurate to the show. I love his outfit he's got on right there, the good guy's outfit, and then face too and everything looks great. So overall, an awesome job in the design for this guy. I still like the servo features of Home Depot's, but still for another version of Chucky, this guy is still really awesome. And next up here, we've got the new Annabelle animatronic, which this one looks really creepy. I like the face on it. It looks so just spooky and menacing looking the way it looks at you. She, of course, has just head movement where her head looks back and forth, but I think that's really all she needs, being a doll and all. Now, I've never seen the movie that Annabelle's in, so I can't really say too much about if it looks accurate to the movie or not, but still, just look at this. It looks really creepy, and it's another cool animatronic to see from Halloween Costumes for 2025. And moving on, the last licensed one we got right here is The Nun, which this one looks creepy. Again, The Nun, it's not a movie that I've seen before, but just looking at this animatronic from the perspective of a Halloween lover, it looks really creepy. I like the jump scare she sort of has where she lunges forward a bit, but also just pops up to look at you with her creepy face there with these really sharp teeth and these menacing eyes right there. It looks really, really creepy. So overall, this one's another really cool one, and overall, they've got some awesome licensed props so far this year at Halloween Costumes. And next up here, the last category we have is animatronics that are returning from another retailer, which these three I don't want to go too in depth in since I've already talked about them a lot last year. But pretty much we've got three animatronics right here that are coming from Big Lots, which is really awesome. The first one right here is, of course, the 7-foot Howlin' Werewolf, which this guy was honestly my favorite last year from Big Lots. He looks really cool. He has this awesome sort of jump scare animation where he lurches back and just rips open his shirt right there. And overall, it's really cool, and he just sort of howls at the moon, and it's just such an awesome jump scare. Then we, of course, also have the Lumbering Zombie, which is coming from Big Lots, and this guy's a cool one. He's this creepy-looking zombie. I love the head design on him, and his animation is nice, too. It really just looks like your classic zombie motions. And then the last one we have right here, which is coming back from Big Lots, is, of course, the Raven Scarecrow, which this guy's awesome. He has a kind of unique design where he's got these ravens that are flying around his head, which looks awesome, and I love that. Then overall, the Scarecrow part of him, it just looks like your classic techie Scarecrow. Nothing too crazy going on there, but still, it's an awesome animatronic that I'm excited to see at Halloween Costumes this year. Anyways, with that said, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Honestly, HalloweenCostumes.com in their first release here have given us some really awesome animatronics, and I'd love to hear from you down below what you think of their lineup so far. If you think they've done a great job with it, or if there's some animatronics you hate and think they could have done better, and if there's any animatronics that you think you're going to buy for this year. Anyways, I'll of course see you all in the next video. Please make sure to like and subscribe and go check out my other channel, which I'll link down in the description. Anyways, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.